Sometimes you just know. You get the press release, you read the specs, you see the renderings, and then Henry Cavill comes walking out on a white horse to tell you all about the brand new watch. I'm of course talking about the new Longines HydroConquest that they just released here in 2026 with a brand new design language. This watch kind of came out of nowhere. It has a price tag that shocked a lot of people, including myself, and is a dive watch that I think is going to shake the market in a very big way. So in this video, we're going to take a closer look at the Longines HydroConquest, specifically the blue dial, blue bezel version in 42mm that I had in for review, and talk about some of the pros and cons and benefits of this brand new watch that you might not know about so far. Now, if you're looking at this watch and thinking that design language is somewhat familiar, you'd be right. It's following in a similar footsteps to the HydroConquest GMT that we had just a few years ago. A complete refresh to the collection that brought it into a more modern space. Now leap 2 years into the future, and Longines has updated the HydroConquest line, giving it new design languages, new finishing, new movement technology, and overall a brand new package that really just seems better suited for the masses than the old version ever did. Now let's first talk about the wearability of the piece, because of course it comes in both 39 and 42mm. I chose the 42mm for my review because, well, it fits my wrist a little bit better than the 39 did. However, both are incredibly comfortable thanks to the gently downswept lugs, the more compact frame, and the excellent bracelet that just drapes over the wrist. Dimensions really matter, as here this 42mm case measures in with a lug-to-lug of 51mm and a thickness of just 12mm, including that flat crystal. Now yes, the bezel does have a slight bit of overhang, leading it to measure a little bit larger at the bezel than it does at the case. However, that's not something you're going to feel on the wrist, it just helps you to manipulate that excellent bezel. And then we have a smattering of color options, including a blue on blue, a black on black, a green on green, a black on blue, and then this very interesting boutique exclusive that seems to be one that's a little bit more popular than I originally anticipated. With all of those options, it might be difficult to choose a color. And I say that because, well, there's not a loser in the bunch. Every single one here from my hands-on time with them looked fantastic. I chose the blue on blue because I think it's kind of the middle of the line choice. The one that most people are going to lean towards when they're looking at an everyday piece that they might wear to the office or out onto the trail. It's a piece that most of the time appears black, but then under direct light appears blue, until eventually that very glossy finish on the dial gets washed out and turns a little bit white at the edges. With it though, you have a very tool-forward approach, with brushing taking up most of the anterior surface and the case sides, continuing on to the well-finished bracelet, except on the bracelet sides, which are actually polished. A bit of a weird note here, but not anything uncommon in this price category. One thing I want to call attention to here though is the transition from the lugs to that end link is fantastic. This is something that so many brands overlook, but Longines just hit the nail right on the head. Immediately you might notice that the crown has been redesigned too. It's been shrunken down, tightened into the case a little bit more, and then protected on either flank with new crown guards. The effect is that it makes the design more compact and visually more appealing, as before the crown seemed to stick out just a little bit too far. Looking at the timing display, we start of course with the timing bezel, which is a 120 click unidirectional bezel, which on my model did have just a little bit of backplay and some mechanical up and down. Inside sits a color-matched glossy ceramic insert, which like I mentioned before does catch the light and hold it, washing out certain portions at most times, but overall elevates the design language, making this lean a tiny bit in the dressy direction despite the brushed surfaces. Then that flat sapphire crystal resting within does a fantastic job at cutting down on reflections, as well as offering an undistorted view of the dial beneath. Itself, with a glossy, inky finish, allows those applied indices to float on its surface, making the entire design language very legible with a lot of contrast. Each indice in hand holds its own generous portion of lume, making it quite legible by day and by night when the lights go dark. A small criticism that people have had with this design language is both the framed date window with a white date wheel, meaning that it doesn't quite blend in with the dial, however it does take up the mantle of an indice quite well. And then on the indices, people have complained that the mix of geometric shapes throws them off slightly visually. But name me a high-end diver that doesn't play with shape. What it does is it gives you better orientation at night and by day when you're really trying to read the time in quick situations. It's a factor that I considered up front, but eventually didn't think about at all during my time on wrist. Inside beats the automatic ETA proprietary caliber for Longines L888.5. It features hacking and hand winding, operating at 3.5 Hz or 25,200 VPH, slowed down slightly to achieve 72 hours of power reserve. Inside, it also comes equipped with a silicon balance spring in order to increase its anti-magnetism and improve performance. During my review, I noticed it was keeping excellent time. Something later confirmed when I put it on the time grapher and found it running between -4 and +6 seconds per day across multiple positions. Now focusing in on the bracelet, you do have two different options from Longines depending on the dial bezel configuration you go for. The two more locked off versions with the black dial blue bezel and then the boutique exclusive edition do come equipped with a mesh bracelet, transitioning to links in order to find a better adjustment before hitting the clasp. That version will set you back an additional $200, while for $2,200 you can get it on the H-Link bracelet, which I think is just a fantastic choice. That bracelet tapers down to a milled fold-over clasp, holding mixed finishing in order to match the bracelet and case better, hiding an on-the-fly micro-adjust on its underside. One thing I will admit here is that the bracelet I received with my review sample was a little bit too short for my wrist. So while I could put it on and get a feel for it, and I did feel it during my hands-on preview event quite some months ago, I didn't get a chance to wear it around every single day and instead swapped it over to a Watches of Espionage Glomar strap and a leather strap eventually, which ultimately is something I probably would do. With that quick overview out of the way, I want to talk here about the pros and cons of this watch because, quite frankly, there's a lot more of one than the other. Now first, looking at the cons, yes, people have called out the fact that it's using mixed indices. Now I would argue that other high-end divers do the exact same thing and other people don't complain about those. Like I mentioned, it is something that I forgot about almost immediately while wearing the watch and never inhibited my ability to read the time. Second, people have complained about the split pins in order to adjust the bracelet. And to that, I would argue that, yes, screws might be easier. However, screws do have a tendency to back themselves out while pins just don't. And how many times are you going to be adjusting that bracelet anyway? For the most part, you're going to set it and forget it and just wear the watch on bracelet the entire time without any further adjustments to the links, meaning that split pins might actually be the better option. And then with the movement, there are people who criticize the slowing down of the beat rate by 0.5 Hz in order to achieve that longer power reserve. But for me, I would rather have the longer power reserve of 72 hours rather than sacrifice down to, say, 48 in order to achieve a smoother sweep at 4 Hz that I visually wouldn't really recognize. And then there's the pros. And well, there's an overwhelming amount of pros. First of all, we have to talk about the finishing, which is on par with watches probably double this price point. It crafts a package that is incredibly sharp and pleasing to look at while towing the line perfectly between true tool watch and dress diver. The bracelet is extremely comfortable in its wearability with that on-the-fly micro adjustment making it very versatile. And then of course there's the price. And at $2,200, I genuinely think this is one of the best, if not the best option out there on the market. There was a time at which we called the Tudor Black Bay the benchmark for dive watches, something that if you wanted a dive watch, you really couldn't do better than that watch for the price. And I think Longines has come out here swinging, but at a much more competitive price point than we're used to seeing. As all of these brands are creeping up higher and higher in price with all of their new offerings, Longines came out and actually undercut a lot of their other models. I don't think that this is just Longines coming out trying to establish a new market or really play in a market that's already been dominated by other players. I think this is really a warning shot fired by Longines, letting other companies know that, hey, if you're going to abandon this $2,000 dive market, we're going to take it from you. But those are just my thoughts on this Longines HydroConquest, and I would love to know your thoughts in that comment section down below. While you're down there, please do like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out. And if you want more on this watch, please go check out my full hands-on review written on thedeeptrack.com right now. It has more photos and a deeper dive into the watch that you might enjoy if you're considering it. But with all of that being said, I know that your time is very valuable, and I really do appreciate you spending some of it with me here. I will be back very soon with another video, but until then, thank you very much for being here.